If you're in your 60s, or already stepping into the slower, quieter chapters of life, what I'm about to share might just change the way you see your mornings, and maybe even change your life. I've been a doctor for over 30 years, mostly caring for middle-aged and older adults. And I've lost count of how many times a patient has walked into my office, sat across from me and said, "I don't know what happened, I was fine yesterday, and this morning I couldn't move half of my body." Have you ever heard someone say that? Or maybe, have you ever felt lightheaded or dizzy right after waking up and just shook your head and thought, maybe I didn't sleep well last night? The truth is, stroke doesn't always come with a warning. It arrives quietly, like a breeze, but leaves damage like a storm. And what breaks my heart the most is that so many strokes could be prevented simply by changing a few small morning habits. Did you know that just jumping out of bed too quickly or forgetting to drink a glass of water can silently harm the blood vessels in your brain? I'm not making this video to scare you. I'm making it because I truly believe you deserve the truth, and you deserve many more years of health, clarity, and independence. So sit with me for a few minutes. I'm going to share 7 common habits that silently raise your stroke risk, and a few more that most people never even think about. Let's treat this like a conversation between friends. I'll talk, you listen, and maybe, just maybe, a few small things we discuss today might protect your future tomorrow. 1. Ignoring dizziness, numbness, or weakness in the morning. I want you to think back to a morning, maybe recently, when you opened your eyes and the room felt just a little off balance. Maybe your head felt a little fuzzy, your left arm tingled a bit, or your lips didn't move quite right as you tried to speak. And then you told yourself, I probably just slept funny, it'll pass. And so you got up, made coffee, and started your day as if nothing had happened. But I'll be honest, that's the moment I worry most about my patients, because even brief symptoms like these could be a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, or what we call a MIT. It's the brain's first whisper, warning you that a major storm, a full-blown stroke, could be approaching. One of my patients, Mary, age 67, from Ohio, once told me she felt a slight blur in her vision and stiffness on one side of her mouth while brushing her teeth. It passed in minutes, so she didn't think twice. 3 days later, she was rushed to the ER with a major stroke, and I remember her tears when she said, "I wish I had called you that morning. Just one phone call." I'm not telling this to scare you, but to help you listen more closely to your own body. If you feel unusual dizziness, weakness in your arms or legs, unclear speech, or even just a strange sensation, write it down, tell a loved one, call your doctor, or at the very least, log it in a health journal. That you can use a notebook or a tool like the Senior Health Tracker app, which helps you monitor small daily symptoms so they don't slip through the cracks. Because sometimes, what seems like a small moment is actually your body's loudest warning. 2. Eating a salty breakfast full of processed foods. One thing I've learned after decades in medicine is this: your breakfast doesn't just feed your body, it shapes the health of your brain's blood vessels. And unfortunately, I see many older adults start their day with meals that seem light, but quietly damage their brain health. Instant oatmeal packets, store-bought, toast, cheesy eggs, sausages. They sound convenient, quick, and comforting, but they often hide more sodium than you'd ever guess. I once asked a patient, "How much salt do you think is in your breakfast?" He laughed. "Not much, doc, just some toast and eggs." I printed the nutrition label. His eyes widened when he saw it over 700 milligrams of sodium in one morning meal. Salt doesn't just raise your blood pressure, it stiffens the delicate vessels in your brain, reduces their flexibility, and over time, makes them fragile. An early morning is when your blood pressure naturally spikes the most. Add a salty breakfast on top of that, the pressure on your brain's arteries can become dangerous fast. But here's the good news. You can start changing that tomorrow. Try switching to boiled eggs instead of fried. Plain cooked oats, a few slices of avocado, or some fresh fruit Don't have to eat like a bird. Just eat with intention. Read labels, choose whole foods, reduce salt, extend your life. I always tell my patients, change your breakfast and you may change the destiny of your entire brain. So tomorrow morning, when you hold your spoon or your fork, ask yourself, am I nourishing my brain or am I straining it? The answer is right there on your plate. 3. Not moving your body in the morning. I want you to imagine this. You wake up, open your eyes, and it's still early. You get up, go to the bathroom, then sit down in your chair and just stay there all morning. No movement, no stretching, no effort to get the blood flowing. Sound familiar? I used to do the same thing. The thing is, when we're younger, our bodies can handle those sluggish mornings. But once we pass 50, everything starts to change. Blood flow slows down, blood vessels lose elasticity, and most importantly, our cardiovascular and nervous systems don't wake up as quickly as they used to. One of my patients, Walter, 72 years old, and once in great shape, got suddenly dizzied one morning while pouring coffee. After a full exam, we discovered poor circulation in certain areas of his brain. It had built up slowly, over years of not moving in the mornings. Just 5 minutes of gentle movement, a few shoulder rolls, wrist circles, walking a few laps around the house, or even standing up to take a few deep breaths can make a world of difference. You don't need a gym. Your body just needs your attention. When you move, your blood circulates more evenly. Your heartbeat stabilizes. Your brain gets early access to oxygen, which helps reduce clotting risk, lowers blood pressure spikes, and protects your brain. Think of it as watering your circulatory system. No water, the plant wilts. No movement, the brain fogs. The blood slows down. Tomorrow morning, before you grab that cup of coffee, I want you to stand up and stretch. Roll your neck gently. Open a window and take a full deep breath. Don't let a sleepy body stay lazy once it's awake. Give it a little respect and it will give you protection in return. 4. Drinking too much coffee on an empty stomach. I get it. Coffee is a morning ritual for many of us. It used to be mine too. I'd wake up, barely open my eyes, and stumble toward the coffee maker. That smell, it pulls you out of a dream and into the day. But after a while, I began to notice something wasn't quite right. One of my longtime patients, Jerry 268, retired after nearly 40 years in construction, came in one day and said, "Doc, drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee every morning to feel awake. But lately I've been feeling my heart race, my breathing short, and my head kind of light." We ran some tests. His blood pressure was spiking every morning. His blood vessels were constricting, and blood flow to his brain was being compromised. All from something that seemed so innocent. Coffee on an empty stomach. Coffee isn't the enemy, it's how and when we drink it that matters. When you drink coffee before eating, caffeine is absorbed faster and hits harder. It ramps up your adrenaline, which speeds your heart, tightens your vessels, and spikes your blood pressure. For younger folks, the body can adjust, but after 50 or 60, especially if you've had high blood pressure or arrhythmia, it can be a dangerous jolt to your heart and brain. The fix is simple. Tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for coffee first, start with a glass of warm water, then eat something small, a few slices of fruit, a piece of whole grain toast, even a boiled egg. After that, enjoy your coffee like a treat, not a crutch. You can still love your coffee. Just love it wisely and be kind to your body. As I often tell my patients, that first cup of coffee shouldn't be a shock to your brain. It should be a small reward for treating it right. 5. Holding your urine after waking up. I know this might sound strange, but please hear me out. It's more important than you think. Many older adults have the habit of waking up and then staying in bed, doing a few chores, watching the news, replying to messages, while ignoring the urge to use the bathroom. You might think, it's not urgent, I'll go in a bit. But in truth, your body is calling for help and you're brushing it off. I once treated an elderly woman named Linda, 74, living alone. Outside of Seattle, she was meticulous about her diet and exercise, but had the habit of holding her urine in the mornings because it was cold and she didn't want to get out of bed right away. One morning, she felt lightheaded and collapsed in her bathroom. The result: a stroke triggered by a sudden spike in blood pressure and abnormal heart rhythm. We rarely think a full bladder can impact the heart and brain, but it absolutely can. When you hold your urine too long, especially after a night's sleep, your body releases extra stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones raise blood pressure, constrict vessels, and for older adults whose vessels are already less elastic, that's a recipe for danger. A full bladder can also stimulate the nervous system, leading to irregular heartbeat and increased clot risk, two of the biggest contributors to stroke. I always tell my patients, when your body speaks, listen, don't delay for habits, phones, or convenience. In the morning, the very first thing you should do after opening your eyes is use the bathroom. No checking your phone, no making coffee, no saying just a minute. Respect your body because it's trying to protect you. Holding in your urine may seem like a small thing, but at our age, the small things are what keep us safe. Here is the English translation of your text. 6. Forgetting to take medication, or taking it incorrectly. I once asked an elderly patient of mine, "Did you take your blood pressure medicine this morning?" He smiled, scratched his head and replied, "I think I did, or maybe I didn't. I'll have to check when I get home." Sound familiar? I say this with complete empathy because I know that remembering to take medication every day isn't always easy, especially when you have to take 4 or 5 different kinds. But I also have to be honest, if you forget to take your medication or take it the wrong way, you're putting your body in an unstable state, and the early morning is the most dangerous time. After a night's sleep, blood pressure naturally rises in the morning. This is a normal biological response. But if you miss your blood pressure medication, blood thinners, or cholesterol medicine during this window, you're also missing the chance to protect your heart and brain. Some people, upon realizing they forgot, try to make up for it by taking a double dose right away. This is an extremely dangerous mistake. It can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure, fainting, or internal bleeding. One of my patients did just that, and the next morning he had to be hospitalized due to severe dizziness. His blood pressure had dropped too low from that extra dose. I understand not everyone likes to feel dependent on medication, but medication is not dependency, it's a tool to help you maintain your independence. So if you tend to forget, use a daily pill organizer, set phone alarms, or ask a family member to remind you. There are dozens of apps that can help remind you to take your medication each morning. For example, Senior Health Tracker includes this feature. I want you to see each pill not as a burden, but as a small suit of armor, protecting you every day from the worst. Don't skip it. You deserve to be protected, and you are the first person who must make that happen. 7. Getting out of bed too quickly. Have you ever woken up and immediately jumped out of bed, only to suddenly feel lightheaded, your vision darkening, needing to grab the wall or plop back down due to dizziness? If so, please don't take it lightly. For younger people, it may just be a fleeting feeling, but for us at this age, it could be a sign of orthostatic hypotension and a lurking risk of transient cerebral ischemia, temporary lack of blood flow to the brain. I'll never forget one of my patients, Mr. Raymond, 73 years old. He was very healthy and disciplined, but had the habit of sitting up quickly every morning as if he was still in his youth. One morning, as he stood up from bed, he felt dizzy and fell, hitting his shoulder on the edge of a dresser. Luckily, it was only a minor fall, but subsequent tests revealed that he had been having mild circulatory disturbances in the brain each morning, building up silently over many years. We must understand, after a long night's sleep, blood pressure drops, the heart rate slows, and blood circulation decreases. If you suddenly switch from lying down to standing, blood doesn't reach the brain fast enough in older adults. Blood vessels are less flexible, and the nervous system regulating blood pressure responds more slowly, which means the brain may lack oxygen for a few seconds, leading to dizziness, falls, or even small strokes without us realizing. So tomorrow morning, instead of leaping out of bed, I want you to stay lying down for a couple of minutes after waking. Breathe deeply, gently, stretch your arms and legs, then sit up slowly, find your balance, and only then stand up. I call this the golden 2 minutes. 2 short minutes that can keep you steady for the whole day, and in the long run for your whole life. Remember, there's no need to rush anymore. Your body no longer needs speed, it needs respect. 8. Skipping water right after waking up. There's a simple question I often use to start my consultations. What's the first thing you do after waking up? Some people say, check their phone. Others say, go to the bathroom, make coffee, or turn on the TV. But very few say, drink a glass of water. And that small forgotten detail is something that silently wears down your brain health every single day. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your body naturally becomes dehydrated through breathing, sweating, and metabolism. When you wake up, your blood is thicker, circulation is slower, and your brain, which is made up of about 75% water, begins to function in a state of deficiency. I once cared for a 79-year-old woman. She never had high blood pressure, but was hospitalized for a minor ischemic stroke. She hadn't drunk water in the morning and she was on diuretics without proper hydration, leading to silent dehydration. She was quite surprised when I told her a glass of water in the morning might have helped you avoid this hospital stay. We often focus on the big things: medication, dieting, checkups, but we forget the smallest thing the body constantly craves: water. Drinking a glass of warm water or plain water right after waking up can thin your blood, improving circulation, reduce strain on your heart, help your liver, kidneys, and brain start up more smoothly, and most importantly, reduce the risk of stroke, especially in the morning, the most vulnerable time. I often joke with my patients, doctors' prescriptions cost money, but that morning glass of water, it's completely free and incredibly valuable. So tomorrow morning, before you grab your coffee, before you touch your phone, give your body its first gift of the day, a glass of water. Simple, quiet, but it could save your life. Point 9. Skipping breakfast or eating too late. A question I often get from patients is, I'm not hungry in the morning. Is it okay if I don't eat breakfast, doctor? And I always answer frankly, no, it's not okay, especially if you're over 60. Our bodies are not the same as when we were 30 or 40 as we age. The regulation of blood sugar, blood pressure, and cerebral circulation becomes less flexible if you skip breakfast or eat too late, especially after taking medication or while your body is still adjusting from the night. You are putting your brain in an energy-deprived, vulnerable state. I once had a patient, Mr. Harold, 70 years old, widowed, living alone. He had a habit of skipping breakfast for convenience, and wouldn't eat until nearly noon. One morning, while watering his plants, he suddenly felt dizzy and collapsed. We found that his blood pressure had dropped, his blood sugar was low, and circulation to his brain was poor, simply because his body had been empty for too long. That was the first time he realized that skipping breakfast was no longer just a habit, it was a risk. Science has shown that eating breakfast regularly helps stabilize morning blood pressure, supports vascular function, and reduces the risk of stroke. You don't need to eat a large or luxurious meal, just something timely and nutritious. A breakfast of oatmeal, a boiled egg, fresh fruit, or a slice of whole grain bread is enough to get your brain running smoothly. I understand some mornings you don't feel hungry, you don't feel like eating, but try to treat breakfast like a supplement, not for taste but for the survival of your blood vessels and your memory. You can forget your phone, forget the morning news, but don't forget breakfast, because it's the simplest way to protect your brain, your heart, and your future. 10. Not measuring your blood pressure every morning. I often ask my elderly patients a question that seems simple. Do you check your blood pressure at home? And I keep hearing the same responses. I don't feel sick, doctor, so there's no need. I only check it when I have a headache. Or, I don't know how to use the device, so I just leave it. But the truth is this. High blood pressure doesn't need you to feel anything. It doesn't knock on your door. It doesn't scream for attention. It silently rises every morning over and over again. And then one day, it causes a blood vessel in your brain to burst. I once had a patient, Mrs. Agnes, 76 years old, otherwise healthy and cheerful, but never checked her blood pressure. She said, "Doctor, I've never had high blood pressure. I always feel normal." Then one morning, she fainted in her kitchen. At the hospital, her blood pressure measured 210. She couldn't believe it. And I had to say, honestly, if she had measured her blood pressure just for 1 week, every morning she would have seen it coming. As we age, our bodies become excellent at hiding illness. Morning blood pressure is especially important because that's when hormones rise, and blood vessels naturally constrict after sleep. If you have a history of high blood pressure, diabetes, or even if you simply want to protect your brain, make checking your blood pressure every morning as routine as brushing your teeth. You don't have to do anything complicated. Just get an automatic monitor. Sit still for 5 minutes, put the cuff on your arm, press a button, record the result, or use a health tracking app like Senior Health Tracker. It takes less than 2 minutes, but it could add years of healthy life to your journey. I always remind my patients, don't wait until high blood pressure knocks you down to finally pay attention to it. Measure today. Know today. Take action today and you'll stay in control of your tomorrow's conclusion, We often think of stroke as a sudden event. One fine day, someone suddenly collapses, unable to speak or move. But with over 30 years in neurology, I can honestly tell you, most strokes don't happen out of the blue. They are built little by little from the small habits we overlook each day. Skipping a morning glass of water, getting out of bed too fast, skipping breakfast, taking medication incorrectly, not checking blood pressure, ignoring strange signs from your body. Each small action, when repeated daily, becomes a quiet brick in the wall of risk. And sadly, many people don't realize it until it's too late. But if you're still watching this, then I believe you're not. Like most people, you care, you pay attention, and most importantly, you still have time to change. Don't wait until your body has to scream for help to start taking care of it. Start tomorrow. You don't need to change the whole world, just change the way you start your morning. Drink water, use the bathroom early, eat a gentle breakfast, sit up slowly, check your blood pressure, and listen to the small signals your body gives you. Every morning you're alive is a gift. Live like you treasure that gift. If you found this video helpful, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your family, your friends, those you love. Because who knows, one small action today might save a life tomorrow. I'm a doctor, and I believe morning is not just the start of a day, it's a chance to start over.